Okay, so sit down and pour yourself a cup of tea because we're going to get into it today with my ranking of the World Tour bikes of 2023 based on my unique scale. So before we begin, a reminder, this is my list and these are my thoughts. And if you have bought one of these bikes and I rank it low, it's not a dig at you, it's just that we have different tastes and that's cool. Tell me why you think that I'm wrong in the comments and let's get this banter going, lads. So, all right. To begin, let's explain the tiering system, and we start at the top with the Merckx tier, and this is the god level bike. If you were to get this bike, you would never sell it, and you would probably rarely ride it. This is your dream bike territory, reserved for the best of the best of the best. And below here, we've got the Voss tier. This is the tier of bikes that you would be super stoked to hold on to for maybe even 15 years. Everyone would be asking you why you haven't upgraded yet, and you would be saying, why would I? But after a while, you would start pining for more. And sniffing at the heels is the Cavendish tier. These bikes are great, just like everyone's favourite cyclist. However, just like Cavendish, you'd probably look to retire them soon and upgrade. You're happy with these bikes? You might even say content, but you're definitely still looking at your local bike shop's Instagram page to see their new builds. The tier below is starting to get a bit average. These are the bikes that you were probably looking to upgrade pretty soon. If someone gave you one of these or they were a steal off Facebook Marketplace, you'd go it. But these aren't anyone's dream bikes. This is your Evans tier after Cadel Evans, the Aussie hero none of us wanted but that we got. And I guess we kind of respect him, or at least that's how I feel. Never really rated the guy, but hey, he's won a Tour de France and I've won a C-grade crit, so yeah. Final tier is named after everyone's favourite cyclist, everyone's favourite Aussie cyclist, and that is the Burgess tier. And this is the tier of bikes that you'd honestly sell or upgrade if you were given it for free. These bikes are pretty average, and I reckon I'd be a bit mad if my manager signed me onto a team with one of these bikes. So I had to be selective with these bikes because most teams have an aero and a climbing bike. So I've used my discretion and picked the sexiest mofo out of the two when there is an option. And that's our list. Let's get rocking. Okay, so kicking off with a brand that I've always admired, and that is Bianchi. Back when I was first cycling, I had a photo of one of these in my cheeky box under my bed, if you know what I mean. Now, the issue with this Bianchi Ultra is the colour scheme. I want that blue. Also, what the hell is that stem? Makes me angry looking at it. I'll give them points for innovating with the little head tube flaps that they had, but the UCI went and banned those, so this is straight to the Cavendish tier for this whip. Next up is the BMC TeamMachine, and how do you say boring bog standard without saying boring bog standard? BMC have absolutely pulled no punches in their 2024 design, but I reckon that's a little bit too little too late, and the World Tour seems to agree because they are out of the Tour altogether this year. So this is an Evans tier bike for this guy. All right, next up is the Cannondale SuperSix. I could have sworn that this paint job was from 2022. However, I believe that it is the same bike regardless, and this paint scheme is better. And this is an example of absolutely stellar marketing because I reckon if you put a standard black paint scheme or a white scheme on this bike, it's a Cavendish tier all the way. However, I'm drinking the EF Kool-Aid. I love the seat tube design and I love the forks, but most importantly, I just love the branding behind this team. The drop seat stay is super low and this bike just looks fast. So it's a Voss tier for me. All right, I don't have much to say about this bike, except that I don't like it. The down tube looks way too boxy and the fork is too narrow, and it looks like a bit of a Frankenstein of a bike, and the shapes are all off. I'm sure that this is an absolute weapon of a bike, but yeah, I just don't rate it, and this is an Evans tier all day for me. Well, hello there. What is this? It is the Cervelo S5, ladies and gentlemen. Not even where to put this. How do you put a bike anywhere but the Merckx tier when it has won every single Grand Tour this year? And on a different cyclist each time to boot. So I don't love the angled stem on this, but I think it looks better than the Bianchi. And I absolutely love the way that the seat tube just hugs that tyre on this bike. It looks like an absolute racing machine, and surely that shortens the wheelbase and gives you way better handling. So yeah, absolute weapon. Okay, so cue Natalie Imbruglia's torn for this one, because this is obviously an absolute weapon of a bike ridden by arguably the world's best cyclist and definitely the most fun cyclist, but I just think this bike is boring. There's nothing aggressive or progressive about this bike, and it just looks like a bike. So this one is a Cavendish tier for me, and that is only really held up by the team that rides it and really the cyclist that rides it. So it'd take me a lot to ever want an American bike, but the Giant Propel is just definitely not that bike. It just isn't doing anything for me. And the Nero show was waxing lyrical about the new Giant Propel, I think it was, but this one is a decathlon bike to me. Tell me you'd pick this over any of the bikes that we've ranked so far, and I'll tell you that you're lying. This is a Burgess, yeah. I'm not even going to bother with this one. This is a Burgess tier all the way. What even is that extended seat stay? I've got that on my GT Grail gravel bike. So are they trying to make like a Cobbles Classics bike here? Just looks off. And this one's straight to the Burgess tier. I also really don't like the branding on this. It just looks cheap. So yeah, no thanks. So, like and subscribe. Okay, so this is a brand that has been on my radar for a while since I saw one of their cyclocross bikes back in, I think, 2016 in Clarence Street Cyclery. But this is the Cube Lightning Aero, and it is gorgeous. The paint scheme on this is awesome, and the bike's lines are just stunning. If this were any other brand, I think I would even be putting it higher, but I just don't want a Cube, no matter how good this looks. So yeah, this is a Cavendish tier with room to grow on me, but yeah, definitely not a Cube on a road bike yet. So I saw this bike and I reckon I fell asleep. I absolutely hate the forks on this bike. They're so skinny, and there is nothing on this bike that looks like it is doing anything. The only thing that saves this bike from a Burgess tier is that it is a look, and to me that just speaks quality and style. But this is a disappointment from someone that has been a long time Look fan. I only use Look pedals and really like their products, but this is an Evans tier for sure. Okay, so what do you say about this bike? It's a Pinarello Dogma. I don't even want a Pinarello Dogma, and I want a Pinarello Dogma. This is a Merckx tier, and let's move on. So first, who wants to actually ride a bike called Scott? I had a mate in high school called Scott, and he turned out to be an absolute gronk. I know that Francis Cade rides Scotts, and I respect that dude, but this bike is ugly. The obtuse angle on the seat tube that isn't curved, it's angled, and the bike just looks wrong. And plus, it's called Scott. It's a Burgess tier. Alright, time for the bike that everyone buys when they never intend on riding their bike. It's the ultimate super bike for cafe rides. It's the Specialized SL insert number. They're all the same. It's hard to argue with the results of this bike, and of course it is a super bike and it's undeniable, but I would never, ever put an S-Works in my top tier. This is a Voss tier all the way. We're on the home stretch here, and we have the Wilier Filante, and this is a bit of all right. I love anything Italian when it comes to bikes, and I absolutely love the Wilier logo design on this bike. Also pretty obsessed with the paint jobs here, and this bike looks similar to the Colnago, but the paint job and the branding elevate this to the Voss tier for me. Alrighty, so this one is going to hurt a good mate of mine who has one of these, but I would never buy a Merida. Again, I'm sure they're good bikes, but honestly, tell me you'd put it higher than a Burgess tier on this list. None of these on this tier are bad bikes. They're all being ridden by amazing cyclists with great R&D put into them. But Merida just doesn't even raise my eyebrows. Certainly doesn't tickle my pickles. So, yeah. And last, and my absolute favourite bike of 2023. And when this bike came out, my jaw literally dropped. I couldn't believe that this slipped by the UCI Fun Police. And I just think this bike is so cool. Even if it wasn't fast, it would just be so revolutionary. And it's changing the game in an industry where things keep looking more and more the same. And I'm so about that. Not just this, but look at the paint jobs that they pulled out for the Tour de France this year, and tell me that this isn't the bike that you would want to add to your collection of 2023. This is the peak. This is the pick of the litter, and this is Merckx tier. I absolutely love this bike. Mate of mine on Instagram, Scott Delfs, has one of these, and I am so jealous. If there was a bike that I would try for a day, it is this. I'm going to go and have a cold shower after that track rant. And you guys should give this a like and a comment to keep the party rolling. And again, if this video gets 100 likes, I'll go and do a video for the 2024 World Tour bikes when I can get the information. Hopefully you had fun. I know I did.